The chocolate ganache tart is such a beautiful and delicious dessert to make. In this recipe I decided to make it an Asian-inspired version with black sesame tart, miso ganache and miso caramel. Hope you enjoy this recipe. Let's get started with the black sesame tart crust. In a bowl, mix together black sesame seed powder, all-purpose flour, sugar, and sea salt. Whisk all the ingredients together until it's fully mixed. Add the room temperature butter into the dry mixture. Combine the butter and dry mix until the mixture becomes a crumbly texture. Finally, add the egg to the mixture. Combine all the mixture together until it forms a dough texture. Gather the dough and place it in plastic wrap. Place the dough in the fridge and let it harden up for at least 1 hour. While the dough is chilling, let's set up the tart pan. Spray a light coating of vegetable oil on the side and bottom of the pan. Once the dough is set and firm, lightly dust your work counter with all-purpose flour. Gently roll the dough out. Make sure to roll in one direction at a time, so the dough is the same thickness all around. If the dough is starting to become sticky, flip the dough over and brush the all-purpose flour that's on the table onto the sticky side. The diameter of the dough should be slightly bigger than the tart pan. Gently place the rolled out dough onto the tart pan. Start by tucking the dough into the corner of the tart pan. Press the excess dough along the edge of the tart pan to peel off any dough that's sticking out. Clean up the tart by gently smoothing out the edges. Make sure the dough is fully pressed into the side of the tart pan. Once the shaping of the tart is done, place the tart in the freezer for at least 2 hours. This way, the tart will keep most of its shape when baking in the hot oven. Once the tart is fully frozen, take it out and poke the bottom of the tart with a fork to create ventilation to prevent bubbling when baking. Bake the tart shell at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius for 7 minutes. The tart shell shrunk a little bit. To fix this, use the back of a spoon to press the dough back into the original shape. Place the tart back into the oven and continue baking at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 7 minutes. The tart will look slightly shrunk. Just repeat the previous process of using the back of the spoon. Brush egg wash onto the tart shell. When baked, the egg wash will seal any cracks and bind the tart together nicely. Put the tart into the oven and continue baking at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 minutes. Take the tart shell out of the oven and let it cool down for 20 to 30 minutes. Now let's work on the miso ganache. I'm using a milk chocolate bar, so I'm shredding it with a cheese grater so it's easier to melt. Add in the miso and browned butter into the chocolate. Set it aside. In a pot, pour in the heavy cream. Set the heat to low to medium and let the cream come to a simmer. Once there's steam coming out of the pot, it's ready and take it off the heat. Pour the hot heavy cream into the chocolate mixture. Mix everything together. Keep mixing until everything is completely melted and uniformed. Transfer the ganache onto the black sesame tart shell. Evenly spread the ganache onto the tart. Place the tart into the freezer and let the ganache harden for 30 minutes. While the ganache is hardening, let's work on the caramel. Add the sugar and water into a small pot. Put a lid on the pot and set the heat to medium. Once the syrup starts to boil and becomes steamy, remove the lid. Without stirring, bring the syrup to a dark amber color, which is about 360 to 370 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the syrup is at the desired color, add a little bit of heavy cream at a time. Whisk together. Be careful, it's really hot. Repeat this process until the caramel is uniformed and smooth. Turn the heat back onto medium and bring the caramel to 235 degrees Fahrenheit or 113 degrees Celsius. Once the caramel reaches the desired temperature, turn off the heat and add in the butter. Keep stirring until the butter is completely melted and incorporated into the caramel. Lastly, add in the miso and stir until the caramel is smooth. Strain the caramel through a fine mesh to remove any sugar crystal that might have formed during the syrup making process. Take the ganache tart out of the freezer and pour the caramel on top. Spread the caramel evenly on the tart. Place the tart in the freezer for 1 hour, just enough for the caramel to solidify. Once the tart is ready, remove it from the pan. Insert a knife in between the tart and the pan bottom and separate the tart from the pan. Now it's time to cut the tart. Make sure the knife is hot, or else you won't get a clean cut. Notice the caramel is sticking to the cold knife. Run the knife in hot water, wipe it clean, and it will make a nice clean cut now. This is optional. Sprinkle some shredded chocolates on top of the tart. Lastly, dust the top of the tart with cocoa powder. Add some sugar pearls for a nice contrast. Enjoy your chocolate ganache tart. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.